Tottenham TV back here for another Tottenham update and quite a bit of news to get through today. And we are going to start with the story on Fabio Paratici, as Fabrizio Romano says that Fiorentina are prepared to advance and seal the appointment of Fabio Paratici as new head of football. Formal steps needed with Tottenham, but Fiorentina are confident as the agreement is getting closer. I mean, it's one that really surprises me because only a few months ago he came back to the club in a full-time role on a full-time basis.
Doing that interview, sitting on the couch with his legs spread open, his arm over, like he was owning the place.
Yeah.
And what do you think's led to this? Is it a personal decision? What's your gut telling you? Do you think it's like a personal thing? You want to be back in Italy? Is it something going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of that's led to him leaving?
Well, we do know that in the summer that he was willing to go back to Milan, and he wanted to go back to Milan, and Milan obviously decided against it and went for because he didn't come back from his ban in time enough, and they went in another direction. So that suggested to me that he did want to go back to Italy, but after that, he signed on the dotted line with Tottenham and came back to Spurs in a full-time capacity. So I'm really not sure. Maybe it is just the case that he wants to go back to Italy, but I don't know what the situation here, but it is very peculiar.
How much of a blow is it for you if he leaves?
I mean, look, I think he's done a decent job at Spurs. I think he's brought in some good players. There's obviously been some duds in there that he's brought in through the door as well. It depends who we get in after that is the main kind of question and answer to really give you an answer of how much of a blow it is.
You've been a very big advocate of the Don. I'm just saying, so is it not a massive blow?
It's a blow, but I think it's not a blow that can't be overcome depending on who you get in next. So, look, there's life after Paratici at Spurs. That's the reality.
It's nuts. Like isn't he being a big part of the restructure?
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. But
so what does it say about the project and the restructure that he's kind of jumping ship so quickly?
I don't know. We need to know all the factors behind it. I don't think it's as simple as, what does it say about Spurs? He could be getting more money. Maybe he wants to go back to Italy. I don't know. There could be so many different factors. The reality is he's going to a club that's rooted at the bottom of Serie A. And maybe he's told he's getting more power there. Who knows? Like, it could be so many different factors going into it. I don't think it's a case of this is what it says about Tottenham. I just think
it's hard not to look at it that way.
But I mean, he's going to a club that is seemingly worse off than Tottenham at this moment in time.
That's exactly my point. Like, if he was going to a better opportunity, I'd be like, okay, it's a better opportunity. But he's going to a team mired at the bottom of Serie A, who just won their first game of the season on the weekend. So, unless he sees it as like an amazing opportunity to revamp a whole team, but when you look at the Tottenham project, surely it does say something. Potentially, we don't know the facts, but I mean, on the face of it, if he was fully bought into what we're doing, surely he doesn't jump ship 2 months after signing.
I don't know. Like I said, there could be so many factors. Like, look, let's take example the guy that Spurs have just signed. In terms of the head, I don't know what role he's come from. Man City. Does that mean he's lost faith?
The City group.
Yeah, but he was actually working for Manchester City.
Okay.
Does that mean that he's lost faith with Man City and he sees a much better opportunity at Tottenham, or is there other factors in it?
Or how long has he been there for?
He's been there for quite a while.
Exactly. So
but Paratici, on the face of things, has been at Spurs for quite a while.
No. Come on. He's just signed for 2 months ago, full time after being banned.
Whilst he was banned, though, he was still part of the club.
He was the face of this new restructuring. Well, part of it.
I agree.
Okay, not the face, but he was a massive part of this restructuring. So I don't think you compare the two situations. They're two completely different situations. I think the fact that he has been signed on as sporting director, and he was, a big element to the restructure, him coming in and Lang taking a step back, and he was obviously going to step into that role. So for me, that was a whole part of this Tottenham going forward from a footballing perspective, how we're restructuring the footballing side of the club. He was a massive part of that for me, or at least he was sold as a massive part of that to the fans. Now he's leaving after two or 3 months to go join Fiorentina if that happens. That there's something wrong there for me, unless it's a personal decision and there's something going on personally.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there could be different factors there.
It might, if that's fine, if that's the case, then that's fine. But if it's not the case and he's going it for a sporting reason, then I think that kind of does.
But what I'm trying to say is we don't know how do we know what the situation is and what the story is? It could be for personal, it could be for sporting, it could be so many different things. We don't know.
My gut's telling me if he believed in the direction we're going in, he really believed in his role here, he wouldn't be jumping ship after 2 months. That's what my gut's telling me.
Yeah, and that's fair to say. But like I said, we just don't know. It's impossible to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
but we're theorising.
Yeah.
Let's say it's not a personal decision. It is a sporting decision. Like, let's just get... Because we don't know, I agree. But let's say it is. Would that not say something about where we're heading?
Yeah, it probably would do. But like I said, we don't know, so we can't say it's definitely this. So Spurs are heading, in not a great direction, and he doesn't believe in the way this ENIC 2.0, the Lewis family, and all that in the direction they're taking us. I don't know. It's just very hard to put your finger on it and to come up with explanations when you have no clue what's going on.
The most worrying thing is we'll see when it happens, if it happens. But
it looks like it is going to happen.
Right, but we don't know when. It could be happening now. It could happen end of season. I don't know. But we're literally, a week away, 10 days away from a transfer window?
Yeah.
Like, it's not great timing.
No, it's terrible timing. It really is terrible timing. But let's just hope Spurs have some sort of contingency plan and to bring someone else in. I really hope it's not Johan Lang going back into his original post and he's going to head up the recruitment of the players that we're going to bring in January in the foreseeable future. But that seems like the most likely outcome.
Might have to be short term unless they've got someone lined up to come in.
Yeah.
I don't really see another option for Lang to take over take the reins again. I mean, it's for me. I'm just very concerned. I'm very concerned why he's leaving, what's gone on behind the scenes, what that says about this new restructure from the footballing perspective, and the fact that it's just coming up to a transfer window. There's something smells bad about this, to be honest. I don't know. It's not great.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, a lot of fans have not been happy with the work Fabio Paratici has done.
True.
You were saying a few days ago, saying he hasn't done such a good job at Tottenham.
I agree.
So you must be, at least a bit happy that he's leaving then.
I'm not happy he's leaving. I agree. I'm not saying he's done a bad job. I'm just saying he's overrated. People think he's the Don, the saviour. Everyone loves, not everyone, but a lot of people love him and think he's brilliant. Because I guess maybe because of his reputation, not necessarily because of the work he's done here. And I'm just saying I think it's overrated. And I'm just not saying it's bad, but it's definitely not as good as a lot of people make out it's been. I wouldn't say it's. I'm happy he's leaving. And in fact, when it comes to him leaving, I'm worried about him leaving because, as I've said, we've put a lot of stock in him. And we've kind of we hired him, but we stood by him. We had a lot of belief in him, and now he's jumping ship 2 months after permanently signing. So that's a worry for me. But in terms of him as a sporting director, in terms of replacing him, if we do have a good replacement, I'm not too bothered. But I am worried about what it says about this new restructure. To be honest, that's what I'm worried about.
Look, the truth will eventually come out, and the proof will be in the pudding, won't it? In terms of the way Spurs handle moving forward and handle this transfer window and handle the summer transfer window. As of now, I think we're going to be left in the dark. But look, the proof will be in the pudding.
My point, I guess, would be this is a surprise. It must be. It can't be something expected to happen.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to another shake-up somewhere, and they're going to have to react to this essentially. And that's not a position they would have expected to have been in 2 months ago. So that's obviously not all the plans we had under Fabio. I don't know if it's out the window or not, but I'm sure he had things in place, or discussions, and it seems as though he's now ready to throw that all away, and that's a worry. Yeah,
it is a worry, but like I said, we'll have to just wait and see what happens and see how the club react to this. And look, we have to see what happens in January, don't we? That's the main thing, and I'm sure they're going to bring someone else in eventually. I think obviously Lang will take that role up in the immediate future, but long term there has to be someone else. There has to be, because I don't think Lang is good enough, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about some potential candidates and players. And we're going to talk about Man City's very own Savinho. David Ornstein says that Tottenham could make another move for Savinho during the January transfer window. Footy Insider are saying that Man City are willing to let Savinho leave in January despite blocking the winger's move to Tottenham Hotspur during the summer and giving him a new contract in October. City have been disappointed by Savinho's start to the season, and he is yet to score in the Premier League. Didn't he score last? Oh, that wasn't the Premier League, yeah.
to in the Carabao. He's actually played all right the last few games he's come on, but look, I think he's still a very good player. These 6 months haven't changed my mind on that. I do really like him, and I would still try and sign him if I was Tottenham. If there is an opportunity, I'd go for it. I think these are the kind of signings I would like to bring in.
Would you still spend those similar amount of money that was touted in the summer?
I think we wouldn't have to, but if we have to, then well, they were saying 70 million in the summer.
Yeah. If City are, saying 70 million or nothing, would you still sign him?
No, probably not. I would ask to go lower, to be honest.
So you'd walk away?
Yeah, 70 million, I'd walk away. And
so your opinion has changed on him a bit then?
I guess. But at the end of the day, his stock is lower than it was in the summer. That's the truth. So the price should be lower. But I do like him, and I would sign him given the opportunity. I do think would be a good player for us and a good fit. Obviously, I really don't know if there's an opportunity unless Savinho goes there or if someone else goes there. So I don't know if they're going to let him leave unless they get a replacement in. But if there is an opportunity, and he's obviously going to bust a gut to try and get into that Brazil squad for the World Cup, and he knows he needs the game time, so I think he might be willing to come, I would do it. I would sign him. I really like him.
Look, I do like him. I think definitely his stock has gone down since the summer, since we tried to sign him. Hasn't been able to hold down any sort of position in the Man City team. The biggest concern for me is him being able, because we need someone that's able to produce consistent goal output and goal contribution output, and I'm just not sure if he's the guy in the near future to do that from now until the end of the season. I think he'll get there eventually in his career, but then it's a kind of another player that's a work in progress. And I feel like we just need someone to come in, hit the ground running, get those goal contributions. I know Semenyo's off the table, but someone like a Savinho who's been there, done it, and we've seen the proof is in the pudding. I don't think Savinho's there just yet, but on the other side of that, those players are very hard to come by. There's not many players on the market, particularly in January, that have shown that kind of consistent goal output. So is Savinho the next best option? I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to take a punt on it, but I am kind of concerned about us filling the front line with certain goal contributions. Maybe
with a loan with an option to buy with a high clause. I'd be quite open to that if City are open to that.
The thing is, I don't even know. I mean, if we're going to sign him, let's just sign him, because he is a work in progress, and I think he will get there eventually. But we've got so many players like that. If we sign him on a short-term basis, I still think by the end of it, we'll say, he's still got more to give. He's showing a few green shoots. Let's just sign him and see what happens. But
I think he's shown obviously a lot more than Tell and Odegaard have shown.
Yeah.
But then again, he's in a more settled environment.
Exactly.
Different tactics. If Tell and Odegaard were in those environment, would they show as much? I still think he's ahead of them, even with that. So I do think he comes in and can perform in the short term to a better standard than what we have. But I agree with you. He's not a goal scorer at the moment. He's not someone you can come and expect to score loads of goals. Will he up our creativity? Probably, for sure. I think he creates a lot of chances. His dribbling would be either second or the best in the squad, second to Kudus. He's a fantastic dribbler, can play left or right as well. So there's a lot of upside. But yeah, we are struggling for goals in that front line, and I don't think he solves that issue. But could he create more chances for other players? I would think so. I'd like to think so. But yeah, I agree. But I also agree with you when you're saying it's January, and I don't know if we get a goal scoring winger in January. To be honest.
Yeah. That's the big problem, because that's what we desperately need. If we're going to sign a winger, that's what we need, a goal-scoring one. But look, I think we're in agreement. Savinho would be a good signing for us, but it's another one for the future. That's the reality. But he's one that can more play now. He's Tell and Odegaard are ones for the future. He's far ahead of them. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on. Another Man City player that has been linked to Spurs over the last 24 hours is Omar Marmoush. Team Talk says that Tottenham are seriously considering Omar Marmoush as a January transfer option as an alternative to Antoine Semenyo. It is believed that Spurs could attempt a loan with an option to buy for the Egyptian this January. And a Man City ITK, I don't know how reliable they are or whatever, and I think about 20k followers, or no, I think a bit more than that, says that Tottenham are monitoring Omar Marmoush. So make of that what you will. I'm more comfortable signing Omar Marmoush than Savinho. I think he's shown that he can do it. Obviously not so much this season. He's been injured and hasn't been able to fight his way back in the team. But when he came in last January, I think he hit the ground running, got a lot of goals and assists from then until the end of the season. When we're talking about him being an alternative for Antoine Semenyo, I don't think he's that. I think he's more of a 9-10 central player more than a player to play out wide. So I would take him, and I think he's probably better than what we got, but he's not an alternative for Antoine Semenyo.
No, he's definitely, I think, more of a striker, more of a Julian Alvarez kind of player.
Second striker kind of thing.
That's what I think City want him to be, the Alvarez replacement. This season hasn't gone quite right, but I also think they're not going to sell him because they're in a title race. They need all the players they can get. They're not going to just sell him because he hasn't quite worked out in the second half of the season. They know his quality. And unless they're going to replace him in January, which is going to be a hell of a difficulty replacing someone like Marmoush with his quality in the January transfer window, I just don't see him letting him go. Unless there's an unbelievable offer from us on the table, which I don't know if we'll offer that. Maybe we will, but maybe we're going to be serious.
Spurs are attempting loan with an option to buy.
Yeah, I don't agree. How are they going to accept that? Unless they're desperate to get him off the books, but I don't see why they would be. So I see this as a non-starter.
When they are playing him, though, they are playing him out wide. They've obviously got Doku there. He's got injury, but he's going to be back in like 2-3 weeks. They got Phil Foden. That's been stepping in there since Doku's gone. So, I mean, where's the game time going to come for him?
It's a squad game. You've got a Champions League, they've got Premier League, they've got FA Cup, so they're going to need every player. Also, one injury to Haaland, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
They're going to need him. So it'll be absolutely suicidal if they let him go, in my opinion. So, yes, is he first choice at the moment? No. And maybe he's disgruntled about that fact. But at the end of the day, they're going to need him second half of the season.
But also, we know Man City's recruitment is top-notch, right? And they've got the money. They have no problem laying out the money. And I'm sure they'll have a list of candidates that if Omar Marmoush was to go, they can push the button on anyone. And it's not like Tottenham signing players in January. Like, if Man City come calling for many players, they're going to push a fuss to leave, aren't they?
Yeah, but I just don't see who's better than Marmoush on the market right now for them. Why replace him? He's a good player. Unless they're desperate to get rid and they just, for some reason, it's gone wrong and they think it's better he leaves. Maybe that's the case. I just don't know if it is.
Well, another one which we'll have to wait and see on. Another player that Spurs have been linked with yet again is Magnus Akliouche. Team Talk says that Tottenham are reportedly interested in signing Monaco star Magnus Akliouche this January. The 23-year-old's existing deal is set to run until 2028, and Monaco might be open to letting him leave if they receive an offer of around £40 million. Look, I think we've made it no secret how much of a great player we think he is. Mainly on the right-hand side, kind of drifting into the middle. Not sure the kind of desperate need in January that we need for a player in that position. But look, he's a player of top quality, and I think he'll see a lot of minutes here if he was to come. So I'd love to see him here, but I think we've got other targets and other positions that we need to target first.
Unless you can say, is he an alternative to Brennan? Because obviously Brennan's our second choice right winger.
Yeah. One
in, one out, but then that doesn't really solve the issues we have in the squad. So yeah. I like him. I think the squad level goes up when a player like him comes to the team, and also he can also play number 10.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking that, actually. What I would say is that maybe he is of need to Spurs, because not only if Brendan goes, we don't have any backup right winger, he could play that role. And, Javi Simmons, he's been struggling a bit this season, so he can be an alternative for him, and them two can share that role as well. So maybe we do need him.
I think we do in the short term. In the long term, maybe not. But in the short term, we do. Because obviously we have Decky and Maddison there.
Yeah.
They're not going to be available probably for a large part of the season. So I do agree in the short term, he's definitely needed and we'll have a massive use for him. Long term, when Decky comes back, all of a sudden I'm not saying Decky's definitely better than him. I'm just saying we have a player there who pretty much does his role. So is he of massive need?
But even in the long term, to have him and Kudus out on the right-hand side fighting for that spot together, you need healthy competition all over the pitch.
I agree. I'm just saying we've got Decky.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Decky as well. But is Decky, I don't know if he's considered more of a central player or out on the right wing. I don't even know. But you'd probably assume
think it's the same with Akliouche. He's similar. Is he? I don't know if he's more of a right winger or a central mid, but I think he does well in both.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll take him. Another player Spurs have been linked with is Ajax starlet Mika Godts, who's emerging on the radar of Tottenham Hotspur. He's been compared to ex-Chelsea player Eden Hazard in terms of his dribbling style, and is regarded one of the brightest attacking talents of his age in Europe. So 20 years of age, having a very good couple of seasons now for Ajax. I'm just looking at his FB ref. He's got like green lines down to the end in pretty much every metric. Haven't seen him play too much.
What position is he?
Left winger.
Well,
another up-and-coming one.
Yeah, fantastic. That's the problem. Look, he might be brilliant, but the fans have lost patience for a potential player. That's the problem. He might be great. This might be an unbelievable talent who could come in and, one day be phenomenal for us. But at the moment, the fans aren't really receptive to that.
Yeah, but I think regardless if the fans are receptive to it or not, once we make the signing, if he comes in, hits the ground running and does well from the off, no fan's going to care, right?
I agree, but we're theorising whether this is a signing that we should be making. I don't know. Maybe. He's doing all right in the Dutch league as a 20-year-old on the left wing, having a good season by all accounts. But is he a guy much better than what we have? I don't know.
Yeah.
If you put Tel Odobe in the Dutch league, would they be putting up those numbers? I don't know.
Probably. I think so. But yeah, look, I've mentioned it so many times that we need players that can come in, proven talent, and at the age where they're more like not just seen as prospects, and that's all they've got to their name right now. We need people that have been there, done it, and kind of that can hit the ground running. Maybe he can, I don't know, but he falls more under the prospects caliber right at this moment in time. And last but not least, another prospect I've got to Spurs have been linked with today, and he goes by the name of Honest Ahanor. Spurs are eyeing a move for Atalanta youngster Honest Ahanor. The 17-year-old has played at left-sided centre-back and left-back and at wing-back this season, and it's believed that Atalanta will demand 60 million euros for the versatile defender.
This is the market. 60 million for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
To be honest, haven't seen much of him, but we definitely need that position.
Yeah.
So if they really believe he can play this season, and he's obviously going to be back up to the players we have, I'm open to it. But 60 million is nuts.
It's crazy. 60 million for... I'm just looking to see how many minutes he's actually had. So he's been predominantly a centre-back in his career. He's played... I don't know if it's subs or is it...
Is he at AFCON? It says he's Nigerian, so...
So he actually started a fair amount of games this season for Atalanta, to be fair. He's been on the bench. He's like out of 16 games, he started 6, and he's come in twice. So I mean, as a 17-year-old, that's a fair amount, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot for a 17-year-old. Yeah.
And in the Champions League, I'm just seeing here, started 3 games, come off the bench of 2 on the bench, and hasn't come on in 2 of them as well. So seeing a fair amount of minutes for a 17-year-old, to be fair. I don't know if he's in the Nigeria squad or not. I don't know, but it's a player that we need in terms of position. Would you price tag aside, would you sign someone like that? Like, I don't mind if it's an up and coming player for that position, because like we've got players there that are starting week in, week out for us. It's the players that we're asking to make a massive impact straight away in the first team, which I've got a big problem with. But
I still think 17 might be a bit on the young side, even for that position. Like, I'd prefer someone who's like 20 or 21, who might not be the best player in that position in the world, but is at a good level. Like, that's what I'd prefer. I think 17 is still... I mean, there are players in our under-21s that age, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then again, he is playing fairly regularly in a top league.
Under 21s that are 20.
So, like, who's to say? Maybe he's ready, but even in that position, you're going to still be seeing a fair amount of minutes. I don't know if we should be trusting a 17-year-old. I wouldn't mind signing him and loading him out and having one for the future, but I don't know about putting him in this season.
Yeah, maybe it's one where you can sign and just loan him back to Atalanta for the remainder of the campaign. You know, we've had some success doing that with the likes of Sarr, we did that with. Udogie, we did that with. Is there anyone else? Can't remember off the top of my head, but Bergvall as well. So look, remains to be seen if Spurs will actually look. We ain't spending 60 million in that's for sure.
No chance.
But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know if you would like any of these players through the door at Tottenham Hotspur in this January transfer window. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.